Are you threatening?
No, I'm not
No,
threatening,
he's
I'm
telling
telling you
you
the
the
truth.
truth.
The attorney just explained it to everybody in plain English. We don't have a choice. We can either bag it, and you got the 2017, we can't do anything about that, or we can continue on and try and make a good one. And we don't have to pay the attorneys necessarily, we gotta pay this planner that's gonna come in. We got a planner that's gonna come in and help these guys write this, we gotta pay them. We don't have any choice. Simple as that. I think Ron explained the whole deal in pretty good English terms, which everybody can understand. We don't have a choice. If you guys got a plan, let me know what it is, but I don't see another way to get around it. Anybody else got anything else?
I'd like to say something. Kathy Craig. So I have been to several planning commission meetings when, they were working on the wind ordinance. And, you said earlier that, and Mr. Reddick said that people were not offering up ideas or suggestions on the content or discussing that, but I was at those meetings, we talked about very specific things, and the planning commission discussed a lot of things, very specifically setbacks, heights, from roads, from property lines, decommissioning, all that kind of stuff was a work in progress, and as my understanding, it still is. So the planning commission had some really good dialogue at the last meeting I was at, and talked about a lot of things. So I feel like they're really working hard on that, and then knowing it has to go to the board and everything, but then when Mr. Reddick says to the public, if you have suggestions and ideas, bring it to the planning commission. Well, we've been doing that, and the planning commission has been listening and working on it. There's been some disagreement, but for the most part, they're still talking about all of it. So I don't understand why we're told we should speak up, but then when we speak up, we're really discouraged from doing it. And, I don't believe I've called anyone a liar. I don't really even know you to say if you're a liar or not. I wouldn't do that. But Mr. Reddick sat there and just called people that are not for the turbines coming here conspiracy theorists, and a couple other things he said too. So, I mean, come on. You can't tell us not to say things and then have someone say them right back to us. It doesn't make sense.
What he's after is, you can't write an ordinance that is completely prohibitive.
Correct, and the planning commission was not really doing that. They were discussing a lot of different things, so the content and the substance of the wind ordinance is still being discussed, and the planning commission was doing a pretty good job of trying to listen to everybody, really dissect it. I didn't agree with everything I heard up there, but I felt like they were really taking a very solid look at it. They had a few votes, like should we move forward, should we not? It was very substantive. It wasn't like they were just trying to, I don't know. And I'm upset with all the comments that were just made up there, so.
Thomas Gepke, Douglas Township. Actually, I have to agree with her because I was at I think it was the last planning commission meeting. They worked 4 hours on a plan, and I think they got to page 17 or 18. And the meeting was over at about 11:30. I got home at midnight. So they worked hard. And I think it was a Spicer. Was it that? No? Yeah. No, but which plan was it working on? Okay, yeah. So anyway, I think I just have to disagree with what Reddick said.
Anybody else got anything? Okay, we got one over here.
This lady up here was saying about if you don't have property or you don't sign. Apex came in and said, if you have property in this area that we're gonna build, you sign a community lease, and we give you $1,000 for that acreage, or for your property, if you live on the property, and $35 per acre that you own. So yes, everybody could sign a lease if they choose to, 1 acre or 20 acres, you can still sign the lease. You're not necessarily going to get a turbine, which a couple have said they will not get a turbine. So you do have an option to sign the lease, it's up to The other question I have is out of all these lease signers, I kind of am curious, and I don't know, you guys doing a lot of research. How many people that have signed the lease actually live on the property that the turbine might be on? And the reason I ask is we have a small turbine by our home, that it's not ours, it's the neighbor's. It's actually a quarter of a mile from our house. It only runs on occasion, but I'll tell you what, you wanna come down to my house and listen to it, we can get that neighbor to run that turbine, you're gonna hear it at night. And it does, I'm a good sleeper, and I can hear it in the evening. It only runs a couple of hours, but when it runs, it is loud enough that a fourth of a mile, I can hear it, and the nights that it's running, we just turn our TV up loud. We don't like sleeping with our TV though, but we have to on those nights. So my question would be, you're signing a lease on your property, you're not even living on the property, you're not being inconvenienced, but you sure are inconveniencing your neighbors. Something to consider. Thank you. What's your name? Holly Huff, H-U-F-F.
Linda Reynolds, Douglas. When we moved where we're at, Ben thought I should have a garage attached, and I thought he was right. It would really obstruct our neighbor's view, like they want to look out a road anyways, but before we even went any farther, good neighbors, we went and asked them, wanted to get their approval, which they were full support of it. They're wonderful. And afterwards I thought, oh my gosh, we really cut their view down. They probably regret that. But they've been wonderful about it. But that's what we did. We asked our neighbors, because we wouldn't have done it if they had any issue at all. Something that's been brought up in the past more than once with people that have lived with the turbines, their lifestyle, what has happened. It's been said, they're not from our area, we don't want to listen to them. What better way can we learn what can happen with living near one when they're in Gratiot and Isabella? Yeah, over in the Thumb too, but those two neighboring counties right there, they have turbines. They can educate us with what has gone wrong to make it so it doesn't happen here for us. What to look out for, that type of thing. And we know Albert has brought in Beeson from Gratiot. He's brought in different ones from Isabella, different areas and what have you. And it's okay for him to host these and have these people come speak on his behalf. But it's kind of shameful when some of the members of the community, either way, shoot them down from even speaking about what they're going through and almost calling them liars, that what they're living in isn't true. And one of these places I went to visit, and I think it's very sad that the pro win, and I hate labels. I hate them, but they're sitting back and calling these people liars. And it's really sad to see where their life has deteriorated. That's it.
Anybody else? Harvey?
So my understanding is our township has a zoning ordinance for 0 commercial marijuana. 0. I want to understand what the difference is, why we can't say 0 wind. They're both commercial. There's no difference.
Should have asked the attorney. when he
I'm
was
not
here.
100% sure, but when that was all come about in 2017, I think there was an opt-in and an opt-out. But I will find out. By the state
By
said
the
you
state?
could opt in and opt out, but I can find out.
I appreciate that, Amy, thanks.
You
Anybody
wanna know
else?
about commercial or recreational, cause there was two.
Commercial.
We have recreational in this town, or this township.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if there.
Kim Bell, Douglas Township. Since you're answering questions, I do have a question and hopefully you can answer it. Has there been, Ron Reddick was talking about getting sued. And has that happened, that a township has been sued and lost and had to have wind turbines put in their township, even though they didn't want it? Has that happened?
I didn't know.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. I mean, I could've kept him a little bit longer too to answer questions.
Well, that's okay, I thought maybe you knew that answer, okay.
I know there's been a lot of lawsuits out there, but
Yeah.
I haven't studied up the ways.
Anybody else got anything?
I just realized I didn't identify myself. Robert Scott, City Township. I did want to make sure you had copies of what I talked about this evening. I will point out that the map in the back here shows some very, very small parcels that Apex has leased. So it's say that they don't want lease small properties is not true. Thank you.
Okay, Tom made a motion to adjourn. We got one more?
One, question that's come up even on the planning commission is what kind of insurance policy does our township have for litigation purposes? If someone was to trip and fall here, if someone was, to sue over something else, like somebody got written a ticket or reported for one thing and somebody else didn't, what do we have as insurance for litigation purposes in lawsuits?
I'm sure he could look into it.
Would you find that out? And then Terry, you got pretty upset and someone at some point used the word liar. I will remind you that I invited you to come talk with me because we had some things to discuss, because I would rather them not go public, and I don't think you would either. And let me just remind you, I would like you to make that decision to meet with me as a planning commission member, because I really don't want to bring things out publicly. But before you get too upset with the name calling, it's gone both ways. But there are some real issues and some real questions.
I could do that, Cindy. We got a motion to adjourn, you got a second?
I'll second it.
This meeting is over, thank you both for